Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. Sexual shadow work is the only shadow work you need. Shadow work is a hot topic these days. Everyone is doing their shadow work. I have been calling this process demon hunting for decades. For anyone who doesn't know, the idea of the shadow comes from the work of Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. He spoke of the shadow as the seat of the repressed parts of the self, the parts that we try to deny and keep hidden. However, the more that we do that, the more likely they are to spring out and ambush us at the most inopportune moments. You could look at this as an example where you have, let's say, priests who are forbidden from any kind of sexual contact. And so that energy comes out in places it really, really shouldn't because it doesn't have direct, more healthy outlets. So the idea of shadow work or demon hunting is that we go looking for them. And in Anami land, we invite them out to play. We recognize that by integrating these disparate and dissociated parts of ourselves, we become stronger, richer, and more impervious. Because once you know your weaknesses and you alchemize them, you aren't weak anymore. All the things that haunt you, you step right up, look them in the eye, and dare them to take their best shot. You invite your demons, which are not external beings. They are the internal parts of yourself that you have not claimed, the wounds that you have not healed. You invite them out for tea or into the boxing ring, and you work that shit out. The reason I say that sexual shadow work is the most powerful shadow work, and I would assert the only shadow work anyone really needs, is because there is so much taboo, repression, misinformation about all things sexual, and it runs so deep. Everyone has some level of sexual trauma, whether it's outright physical violation, genital mutilation, or absorbing all of the negative beliefs projected upon us. Everybody's got something. Since our sexual energy is the core of who we are, when that gets suppressed, everything in our life gets suppressed. And conversely, when it gets healed, everything in our life gets healed. Maybe not everything permanently forever, but definitely transformed and positively impacted. Our sexual power, which is literally the procreative power of the universe, is the source. Once you open that flow and tap into that energy, you now have the procreative life force energy power of the universe at your fingertips and under your conscious control. Once you go through the caves and fires of your sexual self, everything else in your life will be illuminated. If you go deep here, it is the panacea for all. Over the years, I've watched as people have issues like weight gain, financial problems, feeling stuck in their jobs, and not working in their vocation or their dharma. And instead of doing career counseling or extra nutritional coaching, I tell them to go fuck themselves and their partners thoroughly, artfully, and heartfully, Anami gourmet sex style. The pounds come off, their dream careers materialize, and their lives change, all because they were using the alchemical power of their life force energy, which then quantum leaps every part of their lives. It becomes a force that rises from within you and propels you forward in your life. It's not something that you need to consciously try and do, like, hey, I'm going to masturbate these extra pounds away. You just need to go deep into your and your partner's genitals and sexual selves. And in Anami land, your progress sexually is a barometer for how many of your blockages you have cleared. You cannot reach the sacred land of the holy fuck if you haven't done the deep internal work. And wonderfully, the deep internal work is what is going to help you also blast through your blockages faster than any other personal growth tool available to you. Yes, you really can fuck the pain away and save thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on therapy and plant medicine and nervous system resets and get much farther in the process. Here are the pillars of sexual shadow work in Anami land. Number 1, the idea of extended sex play and deeper orgasms. And this would be vaginal orgasms for women and full body orgasms for men. If you've been following my work for any length of time, you have likely heard me talk about the importance of extended sex dates. A big part of the Anami RX is having a weekly 3-hour sex date, quarterly sex weekends, and annual sex weeks. Having unrushed, uninterrupted time and space is essential to tapping into these deeper experiences, where you can let your unresolved issues and emotions rise to the surface and alchemize them. You wouldn't think of doing a 5-minute therapy session or a 3-minute plant medicine trip, would you? No, because you know that you wouldn't get anywhere. So when you start to look at your sex life as a type of therapy and alchemy to help you heal, you also wouldn't think that a 3-minute pump and dump session is going to have any lasting impact either. Sex dates ought to last at least an hour, and intercourse anywhere from, as an intercourse itself, so, away from all of the other experiences you can have, from 30 minutes as a quickie, and I would say an hour minimum if you're really gearing for any kind of transformational experience. And when people start doing the 3-hour sex date prescription, at first, nearly everyone will say, what, we're going to have sex for 3 hours? And I say, yeah, eventually. But initially, you can start with massage and oral play and manual play and all kinds of stuff. You just need to be naked and intimate for 3 hours. And then a month or two go by when people commit to the process and they come back and say, yeah, we were up for 5 hours. We had sex for 2 hours, like intercourse for 2 hours straight, and on and on. They become converted very quickly. The second pillar in Anami-style sexual shadow work would be fantasy and BDSM play. Our fantasies are a great source of information for us, a direct line to our shadow sides. For so many women, the theme of being taken allows them to indulge their full sexual salacious selves. It gives them permission because, they didn't really want to do it. Someone made them do it. And with all of the restrictions on female sexuality and the ever so pervasive Madonna whore complex, being a bad girl who is forced to do naughty things is the only way they can allow themselves into this energy, unless they fully liberate themselves and own their voracious appetites. BDSM is a fabulous tool for both men and women to unlock our dark sides and let them out to play. So many people have so many inaccurate and cliched ideas about play in the realm of BDSM. And then 50 Shades of Grey came along and made it sexy and acceptable to the mainstream. 200 million gushing pussies and $1 billion franchise can't be wrong. Way before 50 Shades came along, I was exploring conscious BDSM play with my partner. We dove very deep, and it was some of the most powerful work I have ever done in my life. The essence of BDSM is amplifying our archetypal masculine and feminine energies. We look at how to embrace and enjoy these differences and truly own what it means to live, love, and fuck in our glorious male and female bodies. Ad infinitum. Women can explore their softer, receptive, feminine sides in more submissive play, and men can practice living in their masculine strength and power through dominating their woman. Most women have fantasies of being taken by a man, or more than one. This can extend into being coerced into having sex, into rape fantasies. This is super common. All the women orgasming to the 50 Shades of Grey books and films were acknowledging that coming out of several decades of egalitarian, gender-neutral fucking bullshit was doing nothing for them in the bedroom. They wanted to be manhandled, by a man. They wanted to be picked up, thrown over their powerful man's shoulder, and ravaged. They wanted to feel his strength and unflappability. You can say all you want about hoping a man will give you a consent form to fill out before having sex, but nobody wants that. Not really. Nobody wants to fuck a guy who asks if, "Pretty please, can I please put my wee-wee into your VV?" That is going to create a tumbleweed effect in the vagina. Men then are craving a woman who knows how to truly, madly, deeply surrender. I spoke about both of these deep archetypal desires in my recent podcast episodes, The 5 Sexiest Things a Man Can Do and The 5 Sexiest Things a Woman Can Do. I personally spent a full year very immersed in the BDSM world. I acted out I'd say pretty much all of my sexual fantasies, both public and private. My partner and I would talk about areas I was turned on by and places where I had insecurities. And we would use these as roadmaps to mock up scenarios what I could experience and face these things. It was massively arousing and sometimes massively challenging, as it was helping me to see where I had picked up mental conditioning over the decades that needed to be released. But it was mostly massively arousing, and I would be demon slaying and become more fearless and unfuckwithable with every adventure we had. All of these things helped me to come out sexually. I crossed the threshold that I talk about so much, where you enter into the territory of being truly well fucked. And you know when you've arrived because you no longer give a shit what anyone thinks about you. Your own internal compass is all that matters. Your truth is all that matters. And if other people aren't into it, who fucking cares? Find better people. Having the juice of your sexual energy to fuel these therapeutic adventures will quantum leap your growth like nothing else. In the Well Fucked Woman Salon, I share a lot more details about these life-changing, conscious BDSM experiences I had and how they were so pivotal in my evolution. I was living my own 50 Shades of Grey relationship before that ever became a cultural phenomenon. So the third pillar of the Anami sexual shadow work is the concept of la petite mort, the little death, and rebirth. When I would emerge out of these wild role-play experiences, I was changed. When I have cataclysmic cervical orgasms, I am changed. I often talk about this concept, the little death and rebirth of orgasm. Your deep sexual experiences and orgasms change you. They break you down and allow you to reassemble yourself as the truest version of who you really are. I laugh when I hear all these people talking about their nervous system resets, breath work, ice baths, blah, blah, blah. I mean, look, these are all positive tools, but they are child's play. Nothing resets your ANS, your autonomic nervous system, like orgasm. Nothing. And the deeper the orgasm, the deeper the reset. Meaning if you bust out a paltry clitoral orgasm with your vibrator, or you jerk off to porn and you pass out, you will be getting minimal reset. If you have an extended gourmet sex date and multiple cervical orgasms and full body orgasms as a man, well, talk about vagus nerve regulation. The cervix in women is connected to the vagus nerve. It is the very best vagus nerve reset that you can get. Show me a woman who is having cervical orgasms on the regular, and I will show you a woman who is calm, relaxed, easygoing, flowing, and floating through life, connected to her intuition and highest self. She has learned how to harness the power of her feminine energy to draw and attract people, opportunities, and abundance into her life. All of it falling into her lap because her lap is what's attracting it. That is healthy vagus nerve in action, connecting the spiritual and material worlds from cervix to crown. And for men, they begin to occupy their highest and healthiest masculine selves and release their fears of being too much. Nah, guys, we want it all, and we want to empower you to give it to us. We want the wildness and the hardness and the manhandling. And then you can channel that energy out into the world, dominating in business, fitness, and in life. People in my work often talk about how their sexual experiences become therapeutic outlets. They spontaneously heal old traumas, change belief systems and behaviors just by having deep, cataclysmic sex with themselves and with their partners. Your bed becomes your therapist, business coach, personal trainer, and investment banker all in one. In all of my salons, I show people how to do your sexual shadow work to illuminate your blind spots and your dark spots and alchemize them into power. Everything that we haven't processed shows up as obstacles in our life somehow and somewhere. And everything we do process becomes our strengths that propel us forward into life and in fulfilling our deepest gifts to the world. Next up on the Anami roster is my How to Be a Well-Fucked Woman salon. In the salon, we explore how to clear your sexual blocks, quantum techniques for sexual shadow work, conscious BDSM practices to illuminate your dark sides and explore the power of surrender, how to have the deeper female orgasms, the deepest ANS and vagus nerve resets there are, and by that I mean G-spot and especially cervical orgasms, using Taoist and tantric sexual energy practices to harness your procreative power, and tapping into your feminine energy to achieve more by learning the art of surrender. The Well-Fucked Woman Salon opens for registration in June. You can get on our mailing list to be notified of exactly when. You will also receive access to the Well-Fucked Woman free video preview series with multi-orgasmic techniques you can practice tonight. Go to kimanami.com, look for Sexual Savant Salons, and click on How to Be a Well-Fucked Woman. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe and also leave a review. And send someone else the gift of a healthy libido and an off-the-charts love life by sharing this episode with them. We'll be back next week, and in the meantime, many happy orgasms.